This is just a small selection of a cast of hundreds and hundreds that I've had the honor of making. This picture was from my second artist in residence, and this is at Badlands National Park. And what I wanted to find a way to do was to tell the story of our national lands and how often they are on the same land as Native Americans lived. And so this particular park spans Native American reservation and national parks. So I found these two teepees. To Native Americans, circles are sacred. And so the movement of the Earth around our galaxy creates this circular pattern, because stars will actually move in a circular pattern if you were able to stand there and just watch it all. I don't use lighting in anything I ever do, so this was just totally lit by the light of a quarter moon. And in 90 minutes, these are how all these stars grace the sky, and to me, drew the connection between our national lands and Native Americans and their importance in our history. This is Zion National Park in Utah. I had the privilege of being there for a month. And people come to the park mostly to go to these areas called the Narrows, where you could kind of hike through miles and miles of being surrounded by huge, massive mountains while you walk through the water. This is called the Virgin River. And I looked at that river a lot, and it wasn't talking to me. It was like, not right now. But this one day, I got up in the middle of the night and it was snowing. And this was unusual because it had been 60 degrees during the day, so it was snowing that night. And that day I went up and climbed a mountain and took photographs of the snow covering the mountain. Well, during that same day then, the snow melted. And that melted snow, which was cold, turned the color of this river from what was normally a gray or brown gray into this glacier water blue. And what I loved in this picture too, not only was the intrigue of the color of the water, but how it reflected and mirrored the colors in the sky. This is a memorable moment for me, and I was there with the park rangers. We were all looking at this river going, wow, I've never seen it like that before. The very next day it was back to its gray color. This is Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, and I had the privilege of living in one of the first cabins that were ever built on that land, I think around 1910. And one of the men who donated the land to create the park, they had this cabin, and Park Service has restored it, and so the artists in residence can live there. So I was able to live in the top of this valley, and I watched this area a lot. This is where elk rut, which is make these wild noises at night, and looking for dates, I think they are. One day, it had rained, and it had rained and the wind blew so hard that it's one of the few times ever that the Park Service closed the park because people were driving off the road. They couldn't see. So for a very long time, I was the only person there. This is called Moraine Valley, or Moraine Park. And I'd spent the day not able to get out, but I thought, hopefully, as it gets closer to night, that maybe the rain would stop. This is our photographer's thing. And maybe the wind would stop blowing some, and maybe the sun might come out a little bit that I could make a photograph. So I climbed down into the valley, and I set up the camera, which I covered with a plastic garbage bag, and I had nothing for me, so for the longest time I looked like a wet dog. And I was out there for 4 hours waiting. And about 30 minutes before sunset, the rain stopped, there was an opening in the sky, and the sun streamed like this down like a big floodlight, illuminating the valley, highlighting in contrast all these beautiful trees that are in the valley below. There's even a little elk sitting in between one of these trees. This is in the National Park Service, National Museum in Washington.